Yeah, I mean, it's 11:59, so I guess I can say good morning. Good afternoon. How is everyone doing today? I am Erica, the Moody Wine Drinker, and today I'm going to be talking with Chris and Aerin from Anatum Winery. Couple updates. I've been working on my website, moodywine.com, and hoping to add more value to all of you guys. First of all, I've got links to upcoming lives. I've got links to podcasts. I've also got links to wines that I'm trying on Instagram, but then you can go and buy. So the hope is that you can see it on one place. I mean, Instagram is so noisy, no offense, but I wanted to make it so it's like one place you can find all the things that I talk about, and then join the newsletter so you can get that information firsthand. So if you do miss something on Instagram, it's there. I've got Chris and Aerin joining now. Oh, hello.
Hold on. Hopefully it's not too glare out here. Aaron's gonna be with me in 1 second.
You look like a little, what's the word? Like you're on stand for investigative. I can see your silhouette really nice. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. No, it's fine. Your phone is adjusting. Well, thank you guys for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm sitting here with Chris and Aerin from Anatum Winery, and they're friends, but also have an awesome winery that I frequent and am a consumer of as well. So I want to talk first about kind of how you guys met, because that comes before the winery, and then how the winery all started.
Do you remember how we met?
We met in college at UCSB.
Was it at a frat party?
I can't recall exactly. I think it was somewhere on the beach, probably after some drinks.
There might have been some wine or some cocktails involved before we met, but we were both going to UCSB together, and we met, and it was a good connection.
Well, as we can all see.
Here it is.
How many years ago is this?
What was that?
How many years ago was that?
Let's see. Well, you were 18, right?
Yeah. So.
How old are you now?
I'm 33. So yeah.
So 15 years.
About that.
And two babies later.
Well, yeah, 2 human babies and a whole menagerie of animals too.
Which you might hear.
Yeah, if you hear any growling or flopping around or anything, that's our dogs roaming around.
I like it. That's all good with me. So, did you get married after college? Like, what was the timeline there?
Yeah, I guess it was, Aaron went to law school after UCSB, and we moved up to Sacramento and lived there for a few years together, and then we got married.
7 years ago?
7 years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're in Sacramento when you get married.
Yeah. And
what are you doing for work, Chris, while she's in law school?
I was working for the Army Corps of Engineers, nothing to do with wine. And then one day I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. And I just up and left the job that day and came home and said, I'm going to go work on a farm in Clarksburg. And that's what.
Now, was there any dialogue with your wife at this time, or was this like a split second?
You know what? We weren't married at that point. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
But regardless, there was no breakfast conversation about that before he left for work that day.
And was there like a blowout at work, or was it just like, that's it, I'm done?
They're all engineers, and they really enjoyed their comfort of the dark, no window office. It worked out for them.
No offense for any engineers. Engineers are great.
These guys are thick. So, no, it was a really fun job there. I enjoyed it. It just wasn't for me. So,
okay.
My friend was putting in a vineyard out in Clarksburg, and his family, their backyard kind of, and I decided to go and join them, and enjoyed a whole summer working out there with them, and kind of started making a little bit of wine at the house, and it just kind of built up from there.
So at this point, had you ever put in a vineyard or like worked at vineyards or anything?
No, I hadn't. No, the Kirchhoff family took care of me. They kind of showed me the ropes, and then I continued to work for them for over the winter, and then just kind of kept going from there.
And at what point did you move from Sacramento down to Watsonville, where you're currently located?
We did that 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
No, because our daughter was born and she's 5.
Okay, so
we did that sometime after. I think Chris worked in winery and vineyard installation for 2 or 3 more years before we moved back down here.
yep.
Okay. So he got his feet wet, probably literally, in the vineyards.
Yeah,
He got his body wet in the vineyard. Yes.
we started buying.
And,
That's right.
and you were only making wine at home, or were you also working at a winery where you were doing the production side too?
I was making wine at home for fun, and then we were making wine at the sugar mill in Clarksburg, and that was in 2012. We started that 2 varietals. We did a Zinfandel and a Cab from that area.
Okay. It's just so fascinating to me when someone just decides, I'm just going to change careers, like went to school for what you were doing, I'm assuming. And then we're like, okay, I'm just going to become a farmer and winemaker.
I quickly fell in love with it. It made perfect sense for who I am. I'm
Yeah.
very antsy and I don't like sitting still. And so this was an easy decision.
I can.
Chris has always loved working with his hands, being outside. He was not meant to sit in a cubicle.
Yeah. So you moved to Watsonville, you have a baby, and Aerin, your family's from Watsonville, right?
Yes. I'm
And so
home
there's
from,
a little village there.
yes.
Yep. Her parents had some property out there, and I asked them if I could plant a vineyard, and they went on vacation. I think they assumed it was just going to be a couple of rows and just, a little tiny backyard kind of thing. And they came back and I'd planted the whole half of their hill. So they no longer go on vacation before I start a project.
That's not true. That was the first of a few vacations they went on and came back to Chris having started a project that was maybe a little bit bigger than they anticipated. But it's all been well loved and enjoyed.
And at that point, it's in. So what are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
Right. And Chris, the first vineyard he put in at their property, it's where our tasting room is now, but he put it in because that's where we got married. So he put it in as our wedding venue.
Oh,
Something fun.
that's good motivation.
Yeah.
And tell us about the winery site itself. Wasn't that another vacation project?
Oh, the winery building. That was a trick that you did too.
We were kind of accumulating a lot of barrels at our house from some of the wines we were making in Sacramento. And I asked them if I could put in a shed or a barn. And
I think you said a shed.
yeah,
A little shed to store a few barrels in.
they got stuck back east in a winter storm. And so I had an extra week on my hands, and we're going to make it a little bigger. So
So that's now the winery tasting room, which is, it's not a huge barn or anything, but it's not a tough shed.
No. That's like my dream would be to have like what you guys have as your winery, like as a barn for all of my projects. But yeah. But that's just another example of Chris being like handy. It's like crazy to me. You don't like to sit still. Yes. But also like what you're capable of. It just blows me away.
thank you.
It blows me away too, because he didn't have the formal education in winemaking, but he can learn it. He learns by doing. When we needed this barn tasting room, he's never built a building before, but watch a couple YouTube videos and all of a sudden he's a professional pole barn installer. So,
I got a book too. One book.
he did it was a book and some YouTube videos, but doing all of the electrical and the plumbing and getting all of the permits and doing all of that, it was just, well, it has to be done. So he's going to.
Today's the day.
So I love your guys' dynamic. I feel like I was really grateful you were both able to come on at the same time. Chris is like not the typical winemaker in the sense that, the ego isn't just enormous. Humble. And it's hard because you're putting this thing that you made in a glass and in front of someone just hoping they're going to like it. I think that's why the egos are attracted to that profession. It's like chefs or sometimes photographers.
No names.
Right. No.
Probably used to that.
But then, Aerin, you're an attorney, but you're also very hands-on with like the legality stuff and the tasting room too. Can you talk a little bit about how that dynamic works?
We kind of learned as we went.
Yeah.
We first started the winery. We were literally, I never worked in a tasting room before. I'd done very minimal sales kind of job, so it was very new to both of us. And slowly but surely, kind of picked it up. But
Yeah, it's kind of learning on the job, so to speak.
More or less.
We opened and we hoped people would come, and they did. But it's my side gig, so I have my my day job, lawyering, and then this is my side gig, family business.
And what I love too is like your dry wit just kills. I mean, Aerin, you just slay. Because I've worked for you guys. You have these harvest babies for some reason, which is like peak wine tasting room season and peak wine production harvest season. And then you decide to have babies then. So I helped out at the tasting room. But like watching Chris sell, and this is his version. I'm going to reenact it. Yeah, tell me about the wine club. And then here's Chris. I mean, it's not bad.
It's not like a bad club. You don't have to join though.
Yeah.
I'm not a
And then they're like, and then
does not
everyone's like,
matter.
yes, sign me up for that. And then Aaron's over there like saying something super dry that like sometimes people get and sometimes they don't. Like half the audience is laughing and then half the audience is like, was that appropriate?
Did you mean? I keep it appropriate.
It is seriously the best dynamic. And when I come in, they're like, oh, I don't want to talk to you. Like, no, where's Aerin and Chris? It's like impossible to follow up.
No,
But-
never.
enjoyed your
You guys are just,
Are much better at it.
your class. I mean, it's a fantastic combination. Tell us a little bit about like what to experience when you come to Anatum, because there's so many, like the spectrum is huge now with going tasting. So we want to hear about what it's like at Anatum.
Who knows? We're not open right now. What are
We are open.
COVID times? What to expect? It can change every single day. But pre-COVID times, you come out. We're out here in the country. We're not a fancy castle venue, but you're coming out to the property where some of the vineyards are, and you can come in and expect to taste 4 to 6 wines that Chris has made, and we hope you'll like them.
Yeah.
So, and you usually
Can sit out in the vineyard too, kind of out in the vineyard, just slightly above it. We have an area to sit out there and just more or less like a picnic.
Yeah. And before COVID hit, you'd come inside the tasting room and you could see sort of where we do all of the work, or I'm saying where we do all of the work, where I watch Chris do all of the work, but where our barrels are and our tanks are and our bottling line and press and all of the equipment. Right now, since we can't be inside, if you do come out, you're all outside, so you can't really see how the sausage is made in there, but you can peek your head in.
Yeah.
And where do you see it kind of going? Like, is there a growth plan or 1-year plan, a 5-year plan? I know it's weird in COVID, but.
I'd like to see the outdoor space a little more developed, so it's a little more comfortable out there. But are you just referring to the tasting room, or are you?
Just in general, like what's on the horizon for Anatum Wine?
I hope that we can do what we've been able to be doing and to continue that in a sustainable way, making really good wines that people like and being able to sell them for an appropriate amount of money that people feel like they're getting a good quality wine at a good quality price, and
Have fun out there too.
have fun out there and continue to meet our community. One thing that's been really nice about having the tasting room is we meet so many people from all over the place, but mostly from here in the Pajaro Valley, which
I'm not from here, so I'm getting to know everybody really quickly.
yeah, it's nice. And even though I grew up here, it's meeting new people or cousins of people I know, and there's many connections, but it feels good to be part of our community and sort of be a positive business within our community, I hope.
Yeah, would you say the majority of your business is all like they're all picking up, they're not shipping their wine club and all that?
I would say 80% of our wine club is local that we've been delivering it during COVID times, but yes, normally people come and pick up. We have been expanding a little bit, but so we ship out, but probably shipping is maybe 20%.
Yeah, 10 to 20% is shipped. So.
Yeah. I love to, I mean, oftentimes your kids are running around. Well, one is running, one is still too small. But when you go tasting, it's you guys, it's your family. It's like when you said it's your family business, like side hustle, it very much is, you know, a family thing, which I really like because I know that as wineries grow, I mean, it just becomes impossible unless you have a family of 10 that can help do all the things.
We're working on it. No, I mean, yeah, this is sort of what you get. We tell people it is a mom and pop operation, and sometimes you get Erica.
Yep, hopefully more Erica too.
This very point. And so with COVID and all that, has that made you go outside of your comfort zone from like a sales or marketing perspective, or has it just been leveraging those customers that you already had? A lot of it was leveraging the customer. Well, no, I wouldn't use the word leveraging, but maintaining the customers that we had. We have a decent sized wine club. And our first priority was making sure that they still felt that their club membership was valuable. So we pivoted a little bit. We couldn't be open, so we offered free delivery, free shipping. We tried to include more because they weren't able to come in and do tastings as they usually did. And we didn't want anyone to feel like we didn't care about them or didn't value their membership, because that's our bread and butter. Yeah.
Right before COVID hit, we were in negotiations and talks with, one, a distributor, and two, as you know, Erica, a second location. And so COVID kind of stopped those things. So that was a trajectory that we were on that we just, it couldn't continue. But I think that our wine club, I hope, has felt how much we care about them, because we've expanded pretty significantly during COVID of adding more wine club members. And that's word of mouth. It's not, we're not out advertising. Maybe we could do a better job of that. But I don't know, 90% of our stuff is just word of mouth or a recommendation from another club member.
And so are you still thinking, like, I know it's hard to imagine because we're still like in the thick of it, but is a second tasting room and distribution something that you see on the horizon?
Probably in the next year or so, I think. We're going to rework that out.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But, as opportunities present themselves, we'll certainly look into everything.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your relationship with wine. I mean, obviously you drank in college. We won't talk about the age in which you started. But has wine always been a big part of your families and your upbringings, or was that kind of a random thing?
More so my parents aren't big on wine drinking. I think it kind of just fell in love with it after college. We lived in Sacramento. We'd have the Sierras. We could go up there and do it in the Sierra foothills, go down to the Clarksburg, Lodi area. And I think it was just kind of something that just kind of rolled into that. Yeah,
I don't know if it's so much of family upbringing as it was when we lived in Sacramento. There was so much for us to explore, and that was a fun, cheap date that we could go on. For $10 each, we could get out of the city and go feel like we were, I don't know, I felt like it was like a fancy date when we would go wine tasting. But it was cheap enough that we could afford it.
Yeah. I've never explored that region. I need to. I mean, I've had the wine like from the store, but not physically there. I need to go do that.
It's a treat. Yeah. But even in the last 10 years, I think that's maybe when we started tasting there, it's expanded quite a bit, and it's Clarksburg specifically. And the Delta region of Sacramento.
It's really fun too.
It's really, really fun, but it's already gotten more and more than it was even when we started tasting there. It still felt pretty homey. You were in people's backyards and stuff at the beginning, and things have gotten a lot bigger, probably more successful there.
Well, and I always joke, it's like the party bus conundrum, where it like, as soon as the party buses start showing up, then the pricing goes up. They're showing up either drunk or to drink, and then they're not buying the wine. So you have to, make the money for it. So.
Yeah, that's true. We don't have that problem yet, which I think is great. Most of the people who come to the winery, we've never had anyone be like out of control necessarily. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we have people who are there. They want to taste. They're interested in the wines. There's not really
it's a fun scene.
The scene in Corlitis and Watsonville.
Well, that's very cool. What would you say? Well, first I have to talk about the name. So I still will think you guys should do this, where every first timer, they should just give them a card with the name on it and they have to say it, because I've heard it about a million different ways. So tell the story of the name Anatum.
So Aerin's father is a falconer. He raises peregrine falcons specifically and hunts with them. They do it for reading projects for the university and for the sorry. But yeah, they use them for bird abatement. And
so Anatum is a North American peregrine falcon, and they're used out in the vineyards to keep the starlings away. So for us, in addition to netting, we have our on-site falconer come out to scare all the predatory birds, keep them away, so that we can harvest our grapes and turn them into wine before they all get eaten up.
It's like integrated pest management, but at a whole other level, literally.
Exactly.
And so it's quite frequently blueberries, all kinds of different things.
Yeah. And it's just very cool. And I love, because you guys always say, oh yeah, we just knew that word. Like it was a word that you grew up with, whereas everyone else is like, what is this word?
The Anatum is kind of like the AVA for the peregrine falcon, where you'll find that peregrine falcon in this specific portion of the world, kind of. It's a large.
You're such a dork. It's the AVA.
Yeah. I mean, we're all wine people. We all know what that means. Well, if you had, what gets you up in the morning? Like, what's your favorite part of the industry? Do you have one? Is it the wine making, the vineyard, or?
I will say I get him up in the morning. But that's exactly answering your question.
I like being on the vineyard. I think that's probably what it is mostly, is the vineyards. And the winery's great as well. It's kind of a 50-50 split of my time. So, yeah.
Okay.
I think, Chris likes being out in the field. He's very happy to be on the tractor and doing that work. He's gotten more comfortable in the tasting room, but I know at the very beginning you were not loving small talk. He loves meeting people, but being in the tasting room and just being sort of on the spot the whole time, I think you're starting to like it more than you did at the beginning.
Yes.
It's definitely like, if you're not used to it, it's a thing. And I can't imagine doing that every day, not enjoying it. Cause it really, people get like anxiety over it. So yeah. This guy.
Yeah.
Is there anything cool on the horizon, like from a varietal standpoint, or branching out at all, doing something different?
We just made our first rosé that I have been doing a lot of taste testing of, and it is 10 out of 10. I love it. So I'm hoping, Chris loves making Pinot Noir. This is a rosé of Pinot Noir, and I'm hoping he does a little bit more.
We're doing a lot more rosés. Yeah, we're doing a Grenache rosé. What else did we do? We did a
rosé of Merlot too.
Rosé of Merlot. We did that.
And then the 50.
Nat, I want to come over and get that.
Yeah, about that one. That was kind of a last minute thought on something. So it was a little experiment. Next year we'll do some more of it. Just a lot more white wines. We were only doing a Chardonnay before, and and a Pinot Gris before.
Yeah. But it's what Mama drinks, so
yeah. It's so hot in summer out there. I feel like a white flight would be a really cool offering, because you guys are in this funny little. Is it a valley? I don't even know. It's just,
we're out of the fog belt. So it gets warmer, but it is sort of a little valley, but the sun hits it just right, so it gets toasty up there.
Yeah. So I think a white would be awesome. And then on the rosé front, I mean, I know a lot of people were doing rosés because of smoke taint. Did that affect you guys at all with all the fires in Santa Cruz Mountains?
We had a lot of our fruit tested, and we didn't see any high levels of it. And so I haven't tasted it in the wines yet, but I don't think so. I think we made it through. We're lucky.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so the best way for people to support you, what would that be?
Well, when we can be open, come on out,
Yeah.
try our stuff,
We intend
give
on
us
being open this
feedback,
weekend.
right?
Yeah. Feedback's great, actually.
Yeah. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Tell us what's working. If something's too expensive or not expensive enough. Tell us what you like.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are going to flood into you saying you need to raise your prices on this as they're buying cases.
No.
And so you can buy online, and you ship to other states?
Yes.
Yes, we can
So I
ship
think
to most of the United States.
most all of the United States. I think 43 states or wherever we can legally ship, we can ship. It can be a little bit pricey, but it's UPS ground and we don't charge an increase for shipping. It's just whatever UPS charges us.
Yeah.
But within California and most of the West Coast, we can pretty much overnight for a pretty sweet deal.
And Valentine's Day is just around the corner, so you still have time, California.
We're gonna have a special go out today.
Yeah.
And what I do is I gift your wine club to people because
We are grateful.
the locals, they can go get their free tastings and enjoy the events when that's a thing, and then they get their wine. So it's a really cool little thing that I have done. So do that.
Yeah, that's wonderful. We feel very supported by you. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for joining. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we log off?
No, if anyone has any questions,
Yeah,
our phone number that's on the website, that's Chris's cell phone. He'll pick up and
Yeah, send me an email to anatumwines@gmail.com. I think it's also on the website.
Yes.
yeah, we look forward to meeting more people.
Yeah, come on by.
Sounds good. Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Erica. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.